host Vince, and welcome to the Remote Accountants channel. Today we're going to be doing an Excel tips video on how to create pivot tables and charts. And this is for all accountants or bookkeepers out there that have clients and you have data that you need to show your clients in terms of a nice chart or pivot table, so that way they can quickly access the information or be able to do an analysis on the information that you have in front of you. Pivot tables and charts are really useful for large sets of data, so that way you can show your clients quickly about what it is that they're doing in their business, like whether or not they're making money, or whether or not they have certain expenses in key areas. And so today we're going to cover both those areas. If you're using a MacBook or a PC, this will work fine for you. I'm going to be showing on a MacBook here. It's a MacBook Air. But basically, it's going to be the same if you're using a PC. I've used Excel on both my MacBook and PC, and they're both basically similar. It's through Microsoft. So the one that you see in front of you is pretty much what you're going to see for your purposes too as well. So what we can do is go to the data so I can show you how to do this. So basically you're going to have basically a sheet with lots of data on there. For this purpose over here, I'll just keep it kind of simple, and so that way we can kind of be able to quickly show about how best to do this. And so basically you're going to highlight the data that's in there, and you could do that by just hitting Shift, and then using the down and right arrows, you can select that data. And so right here, we're going to go to Insert, and we're already on the button right there. And so we're going to go ahead and show how to do a chart. So basically, if I want to do a chart over here, let's do a 3D pie chart. You can quickly see how that's inserted in there. Now, you could, of course, fix this so that way you can see this a little better. So over here, it shows us day 1 and day 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So basically, you see here for day 1, it's a darker blue. It's this little small slice of the pie. But maybe you want to see the numbers behind that. So basically you can select on different views for your chart, so you can see exactly what it is that you want to see for your data. So over here we see that 1 is 7%, day 1, day 2 is 13%, and we'll see that the highest day over here is day 5 with 33%. So that's basically a way that you could do a quick quick chart, so that way you can see what it is that you want to be able to pull up. Now, say that we want to do a pivot table. We can do the same thing when we go through the data. We can highlight it, and for that Insert button, there's an Insert a Pivot Table. And when it pops up over here, there's going to be a window that says what table range do you want to select, and we've already selected that table range, and it's going to ask us where do we want to put this. Well, for this purpose over here, let's put it in a new worksheet so it's nice and clean for us. So go ahead and hit OK. So right now we have this pivot table view, and you notice that when you first insert that in, there's nothing that's in there. And we'll expand this view here for us so you can see a little bit better. There's nothing in there currently. That's because we have to select the data that we want to see. So basically, if we want to have the days in the rows, just drop that in there, and then we'll have the values, and we'll mark this over here in the pairs. We can basically see the sum of all of these, right? So basically, we're saying that on day 1, we have the sum of apples is 2, the sum of oranges is 7, the sum of pears is 1, and we can see the sum of all the days right down here. Now, say that you see this and you're like, the row isn't terribly descriptive, right? That we know that this is day 1, but if you're giving this to a client, they need to know that. Basically, what you can do is you can go to the days and you can quickly edit this. So you can say day 1, and then you should be able to do a drop down so that we can see each one of these. There we go. I did that, by the way, by selecting the corner and dropping down. I have a video in terms of the fill button, but that quickly did that for us so we can see which days in our pivot table. Now you'll notice here that we've updated that, but the pivot table itself hasn't been updated. So we need to make sure that the pivot table is refreshed. So to do that, we're going to go over here, and there's a refresh button. So it's in a pivot table analyze, or it should be a button that's similar to that if you don't see that, depending on which Excel version you're using. And there should be a refresh button. So we're going to go ahead and refresh, and you'll see that that immediately popped in the days for us right in here. So it's nice and descriptive for us. Now there's a great function too for us that we can do, is that we can do the same thing by inserting in both a pivot table and a chart. So let's go ahead and do that now. So again, we're highlighting the data. You hit Shift and then down, using the arrow to the right. And now there's a button, if we go to the Insert, there's one on here that says a pivot chart. And sometimes it says pivot table plus a chart, depending on the Excel version you're using, but it's typically the same thing. So you just go through and hit new worksheet again to kind of keep it nice and clean for our purposes over here. So now we see both a pivot table and a chart we can do. So let's do what we did before. We insert the days. And then we're going to put in the values for the apples. I'm going to drag that over here. And we'll do the oranges and the pears. So what's neat about this is that for your client, and you can move this within the data set as you saw over here. And let's make it a little bigger so we can see a little better for our purposes here. There we go. So we want to see the days too. There we go. So here you see that these are the days listed down over here, and these are the amounts that we have for each of the some of the apples, some of the oranges, and some of the pears. So we'll see over here, remember that day 5 that really was a stellar day for us. We can quickly show our client that, hey, look, day 5 was a tremendous day. We had over 10 apples that were sold that day. We had some of oranges over here, and some of pears right over here in this column right here. So you can see quickly about how that is arranged and be able to sort that through them. Now, what's great about pivot tables is you can quickly unselect data that you don't want to see. Say we only cared about the apples and oranges, but we didn't want to see pears. I can simply just check off that box there, and we quickly see just the apples, just the oranges, so we can see the data set here in the pivot table, but we can also see it in the chart. This is a great way where you can show your client both the data so they can see the hard numbers behind that, and a chart which makes it basically an illustration. This is a way that you can really impress your clients, especially when you have large sets of data and they're trying to make sense of it, that you can show both the numbers and a visualization of those numbers so that way they can make sense of that. And again, you can quickly sort through this for them. So if they only wanted to see apples, you can simply just pull that up there for them. So again, guys, this is both an example of a pivot tables and charts. There are many different types of charts that you could use. Again, we used a pie chart before. This is a bar chart, but you can go through and select different kind of chart layouts in different ways that you could also sort the data so that way you can see the days on top or some of the apples down below. Or if you wanted to see amounts and all that. For this purpose over here, I kind of use the sum as the unit quantity, but if we're saying that that was the amount quantity, we can also do that too as well to be able to visualize that. So again, guys, over here, I hope this has helped you out. This has been an illustration of how to create pivot tables and charts. And feel free to leave any comments down below. And remember to subscribe to this channel over here. And also remember to join the Facebook group if you're not already part of that for remote accountants and bookkeepers. I do try to post Excel tips and accounting concepts, as well as post job opportunities for accountants. That's one of the things that I've created the group on Facebook, that I have people coming to me with job opportunities, and so it's a great thing for accountants to be able to see and be able to apply for. They are not my own jobs, by the way, so do your own research and be able to send them emails and personal messages when you see those posts. But do join that group there in that link that I'll provide in the description for this video here, so you'll see that Facebook group. Again, that Facebook group is called the Remote Accounting / Bookkeeping, and the business is hiring them. And this channel is Remote Accountants, and so be sure to subscribe to this and to join that group. I hope this has helped you guys out. Again, leave comments, guys, leave likes, and we'll see you for the next video. Take care.